Yo! Video games.
So welcome everyone to another top 10 list. I haven't really done it in a while, but hey, considering it is, Murica's birthday and we are back-to-back World War champions, what better way, to celebrate than giving my top 10 favorite American-made console games. Now, that is the asterisk right there, console games, because when I was making this list, I realized I was leaving off some of like the most influential and some of the best games ever made. However, the common thing of all these games I didn't put down on my list were that they were PC games first and foremost, primarily. So I said, okay, well, this list is a console list. So these are my top 10 personal favorite American-made console games. That means they had to have been made on console and with console in mind first. I had release day one on console. Could be PC console, it doesn't matter. It just had to be day one on console as well. They have to also be entirely originally American made. So it cannot be a remake or a remaster of a game, even if it's a great remake or a remaster. But if it's a remake or a remaster of a game that wasn't made in America, doesn't count. So Blue Point, sorry, you're off the list here. These games have to have been conceptually designed and produced and made. They're originally in Murica. So that's how this list breaks down. So it has to be made with console in mind. It has to be originally made in America. So these are my personal favorite top 10 American-made video games. So let's get right onto it. Number 10. Okay, actually, these don't really have an order. These are this is a soft order. Like, really only, like, the top 5 or top 3, maybe, are, like, accurate. But, like, we'll call it 10. But, like, they can kind of go in most of these can go in any order. Most of them. Number 1, or 10, wherever you want to put. We'll call it 10. Number 10. Shantae and the Pirate's Curse. Now, Shantae games have always been pretty good, but there was something particularly special about Pirate's Curse, and it comes in twofold. And one is it changed the gameplay up because it took away her ability to transform. And at first, I thought this sounded like the game was going to be just sort of like a really hard game or whatever. These are kind of like soft Metroidvanias. They're much closer to Wonder Boy or, those weird Master System games that nobody's played. Wonder Boy in Monsterland or Dragon's World or whatever. But Pirate's Curse was pretty great because even though it did a gameplay change up from her usual transform into different creatures, instead it gave her different weapons and gear for pirate stuff. Actually turned out to be pretty good. The other thing that really makes, I think, Pirate's Curse really stand out is that it did something with this story that just gave it just a little bit more oomph, I guess you could say, because the games are always just sort of like really cutesy fun romps, but really ridiculously difficult. At least for a lot of people, anyways. But Pirate's Curse was nice because it didn't go dark and edgy. It didn't go Shadow the Hedgehog or anything, but it raised the stakes in just enough of the right way that it actually felt like the villain was threatening. The adventure, the story was a little more intense, a little more real. There was a little more like heartfelt moments in it. And I don't know, really kind of pushed it over the top, I think. I mean, all the Shantae games are really good. But Pirate's Curse is kind of, I think, is the absolute apex of the franchise so far. I mean, they're all really good. The original Game Boy Color game's really good. Risky's Revenge is good. Obviously, Pirate's Curse is my favorite here. Half Genie Hero and Seven Sirens are both pretty good. But Pirate's Curse is kind of like, this was the best one, I think. I think just having that little bit more of a little bit more of a crazy threat, a little bit more intense of a story, just help push it over the edge a little bit. And anyways, these games, the whole franchise is good, but Pirate's Curse is the best. And yeah, that's why I put it on here. Number 9 would be Shovel Knight. This is a wonderful throwback game. This is the king of indies, if you will. Like, this was one of the early big Kickstarter success stories. Really helped put a lot of people's eyes on the whole indie game scene, and for good reason. It's a fantastic game. They fulfilled all their obligations, even though it took a very long time, but they didn't skimp on any of them. That's kind of the nice thing you can say about Shovel Knight, is that when they added their DLC campaigns, even though they took forever to come out, they were well thought out. They were very well designed and planned. Shovel Knight it's not like it takes one thing. It takes multiple different things from the NES TurboGrafx era of gaming, and just sort of it creates its own stew, its own mixing pot of stuff, because you've got things from all kinds of different classic titles from the era, from the late 80s, early 90s, and it really does truly stand with the best of them. I truly do believe Shovel Knight is better than some of the, most even of some of the most classic franchises. Like, I would say Shovel Knight is better than a large chunk of classic Mega Man games, a large chunk of Castlevania games. Like, it's really that good. It's very well paced. It's even got like a bit of a heartwarming story. Like, Shovel Knight is, for very good reason, is, one of the best 2D platformer games out there. Love Shovel Knight. Can't wait to see what Yacht Club Games does next, and I'm super thrilled that it got a lot of people paying a lot more attention to the indie scene. But yeah, Shovel Knight and Shantae both made here in the good old US of A, right here on the best coast. These are two fantastic titles, and absolutely worthy of your time. Like, I don't even know what Shovel Knight goes for now, but it's worth it, whatever it is. So love Shovel Knight. Can't wait to see what they do next. Okay, number 8. Red Dead Redemption. Made in another Best Coast game, made way down low in San Diego. This is, another Rockstar open world game, but it's set in the 1912 in Arizona, New Mexico territory. This game struck the perfect balance between, gameplay and sort of simulator realism. Something that I feel Red Dead 2 really leaned so hard into the simulator aspect of it that it kind of, like, this game was just a lot more fun to roam around, play. This had a fantastic casual online lobby system that was just a lot of fun just to jump in, play around. Red Dead 1 is one of them, because the funny thing is people may not know this about it, but I don't like a lot of open world games. There are a lot of open world titles that when they came out, I just didn't like them, and I kind of was like, I don't think I'm a fan of open world games, because a lot of open world games initially were very much stuck on the city aspect in modern day city, and this being a period piece, this being in the big great outdoors, and it has very, very good attention to detail, and it's just a lot of fun. So I still think this is a game I could probably still go back and replay and still have a good time. I don't think I didn't even finish the second game, but finishing this game all the way to the end and then its true final hidden ending, this was absolutely one of my favorite true open world design games. I still think it's one of the best. And again, I've always said one of the best things about it is that even though it's supposed to be the American Southwest, because the developers are from San Diego primarily on Red Dead 1, they really truly understood the variety that can exist within this area of the world. So it's not just one type of desert, like just one sort of like, it's brown and sand. No, like there are very big differences between what the environment looks like. And Red Dead 1 actually did a very, very good job all the way back on the Xbox 360 of showing how varied things could really be in this little pocket of the world. So, love this game. Can't really say I'm really much of a fan of anything. This is honestly, it's truly my favorite Rockstar game. And nice to know that it was sort of local too. So, but anyways, yeah, love Red Dead Redemption. So number 7, Jak and Daxter. This is again sort of on that personal scale here. This is my favorite Naughty Dog game. This is where I feel like Naughty Dog was on the cusp of greatness. They were so close, and then they kind of threw it all away because Jason Rubin. You got a Jason Rubin, but Jak and Daxter was Naughty Dog breaking out of the the 2-lane highway of Crash Bandicoot, which they had perfected, but they were like, okay, let's go with a big open space, open air 3D platformer, and we got it. And it really felt like there was hints of something like even cooler here, because there was a story, there was backstory lore, there was stuff going on. It had some fun character designs. The animations were really good. Jak and Daxter 1 specifically is my favorite Naughty Dog game. I obviously Uncharted games are very, very, very good. I'm not gonna deny that at all, but I feel like Jak and Daxter was just sort of like we were just coming on, to basically entering a whole new world where we would have this sort of cool, almost Disney Renaissance animation era level of okay, we're gonna do some really cool stuff. We're gonna have some really cool, interesting characters. We're gonna do all this, and then they just kind of pivoted hard towards adulthood and just kind of ran away. Now, I'm getting a little off topic here because the whole we've grown beyond that art style, whatever. Current Naughty Dog is lost to time to me, but Jak and Daxter for a little bit was, for me, a nice glimpse into what could have been. Unfortunately, the music still sucked, but what are you gonna do? You could really, if there's any one actual fault with Jak and Daxter 1, it's the fact that that music is still nowhere near as good as Rare's efforts at the time or before it. Still a great game though. Probably one of my favorite PS2 games. My favorite Naughty Dog game, Jak and Daxter. Again, made in the best coast in the good old US of A. All right. Number 6, Metroid Prime Trilogy. This one was a little hard for me because I'm like, okay, Prime 1 is fantastic, but I feel 3 is also highly underrated. And then I just sat there and you know what? The whole thing is good. So Metroid Prime Trilogy, it's the only game on this list that's sort of a collection, but it is just one studio's own collection of the 3. They made 3 games and then they bundled them all together. So this is your orange box, if you will, of Metroid Prime. So Metroid Prime, I don't know what else can be said, but everyone had their doubts when an American studio was going to take Metroid into the 3D world, and then they were going to make it a first-person shooter. Ugh, but somehow it all turned out right, because they didn't turn it. It wasn't a Doom clone. It wasn't a Halo clone. It was very much its own unique thing. A first-person adventure game. Moody, atmospheric, slower paced. These are fantastic games. They're all really, really good. They all bring something good to the table. I'm excited for Prime 4. But this was one of those holy shit, I can't believe they did it moments, especially when Prime 1 came out. You had to be there. Because Metroid Prime 1 was kind of nobody expected the game to turn out as well as it did, and it did, and it's still impressive. It's still incredible to see. So I gotta really hand it out. Metroid Prime Trilogy, absolutely 100%, far and away one of the best games produced in good old Murica, deep in the heart of Texas. All right, number 5. This probably should be higher than 5, but Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare. Fun little factoid. This is the last numbered Call of Duty for some reason. Besides technically Black Ops 2, 3, whatever. But this is the last of the officially numbered Call of Duties. I just started calling them whatever after. Call of Duty subtitle, then number. Call of Duty 4. Again, this is a sort of, you had to have been there. This is the game that actually didn't get me into online gaming, but got me into competitive multiplayer online gaming. It obviously existed. I'd obviously tried it, but I never got into it. Phantasy Star Online is the game that got me into online gaming, but this was the second game that got me into online gaming. And that was Modern Warfare. The 60 frames per second on console, the leveling up system, perk system, what have you, the fast-paced nature, the sort of like arcadey nature of the game. Coupled that with Xbox Live at the time, where it had the exclusive feature of party chat, and it had just at the time, not using Activision's dumb servers, using Microsoft servers. This was like one of the most incredible, smoothest, best online experiences I've ever had. And the single player campaign was pretty good too, because a lot of people forget when Modern Warfare came out, we had been dicking around in World War II for 10 years, and everyone was burnt out on World War II by the time COD 4 came out. So COD 4, even though it's the fourth game, it's actually more than the fourth, but when COD 4 came out, everyone was kind of sick to death of World War II. So this felt like a breath of fresh air, being, going into Modern Warfare era. And yeah, it hit every note it needed to hit. There's really not much more I can say about this. Again, I personally like COD 4 the most. I think the kill streaks got way out of hand. I think the attachment system got way out of hand. I think COD is a bloated homunculi of a beast of what it used to be, and the simplistic nature of COD 4, the original, not remastered, because remastered added loot boxes and all kinds of horror stickery. Just the original COD 4 is simple, pure, and I admire its purity. So that's why this is number 5 for me for Murica-made games. Also made on the best coast. I'm seeing a pattern. Number 4 is Doom 2016. Okay, this one's pretty obvious. This is the ultimate run and gun. 2016 did something that made me instantly fall in love with it, and that is the gore, the melee kills. So when you crew a little bit, when an enemy is near death, they'll start flashing. And when they're flashing and glowing, that means you can go up and do a melee attack, and he'll do a death animation that it's determined by where you're standing. Are you in front, on the side, behind? And he'll do different kill animations for all the different demon types in the game. What this does is this encourages you really hard to go in and just start shooting and killing. Like, this is not a game where it's kind of like, oh, I want to avoid enemies, I want to run away. It's the farthest thing from Doom 3 you could get. It was very much just like, no, I want you to get in there, I want you to fight. In fact, I'm going to incentivize you, because if you do a melee kill on an enemy, you get extra goodies. You get health and ammo and whatnot. So the game is just all about incentivizing you to go out there and kill things. And just the smoothness, obviously the frame rate, but just the movement, the schmovement. This guy moves. This is like classic Unreal Tournament Quake 3 arena style, where you're not a clunky, heavy boots on the ground. I mean, you don't have jetpacks or nothing, but like just the speed and movement at which the Doomslayer runs around is perfect. And this is a game that I love for the very simple reason that it's a game that's all about wanting you and incentivizing you and rewarding you for getting in there and just killing demons. It's a beautiful thing. Just an absolutely beautiful display of gore mass. This is the murder boner game, as I call it. Because, like, when you get like a berserker orb and you get godlike powers to go melee kill and everything, you're just like, bro, you just get this dopamine high out of just ripping enemies in half. Just rip and tear until it's done. Yeah, and now unfortunately, there is a caveat here where it's like, if you do play Doom 2016 on a really powerful PC and you see the game at above 100 frames, 140 frames, it's like, it's almost life-changing. But either way, the fact that they even got this game to run on a Switch all the way up to like, PS5 or whatever, I don't know. It's incredible game. My favorite Doom. Just love this game. Obviously, the soundtrack by Mick Gordon, which is technically Australian, but the game is primarily designed and made in Murica, so we are going to have to let that slide. But again, I can't not mention the soundtrack, how good it is. BFG Division and all the other. I mean, there's a lot of really good tracks in Doom. The 12-string electric guitar stuff. Like, this is You know, normally I kind of like most of the time like heavy metal rock music in video games kind of just all sounds similar. It's like a sound wall where it's all just dun, 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 dun. But like Doom is absolutely all metal rock based, but it's very good at distinguishing itself track to track. So that's the important part about it. So Doom 2016, good old American. There's nothing more American than first-person shooting, violence, death, murder, mayhem. I mean, it's everything we Americans thrive on. So, yeah. Number 3, Ghost of Tsushima. Another open-world game. This one made in the bitter Pacific North cold, or the bitter cold of the Pacific Northwest. Yeah, so this was a bit of a... Wow, a game about, you know, ancient Japan is your favorite game made in America. Hey, this game was designed and concepted and built in America, and it's fantastic. And you know it's an American-made game because they actually allow old people and ugly people to exist in their game world. So definitely not a game made on the other side of the Pacific, even though it is about the other side of the Pacific. This is, again, another one of my favorite open world games because Sucker Punch did something that I'm so happy to see, which is, okay, yes, we're doing a realistic take because America is obsessive with realism, but they're like, yeah, it's a realistic graphical style. However, we're gonna hypercharge the color and just sort of like we're just gonna like make everything hyper color. Like, so not only is the game a romanticized view of that era of samurais of everything, but the color scheme, the art direction is a hyper romanticized version. It's like it's a bullshit postcard made 3D, and I love it for that. I love the fact that the game is in love with the fact that it wants to take this time in this place and then just hypercharge and romanticize the shit out of the art direction and make it the most beautiful thing you can possibly see. Americans love things ugly. I don't really know why. Like ugly cars, you know, like cyber trucks and, you know, all these other like weird things, ugly other things, like ugly game consoles like the original Xbox, you know, and the Duke. But Ghost of Tsushima was definitely something where it's like America wanted, even though it's American made about Japan, they're going to make it as beautiful as possible in the environment. So love Ghost of Tsushima. Can't wait for the second one. I'm a little annoyed I still haven't seen the second one. But I absolutely love this game. The battle system was good enough. I enjoyed it. I wanted you to be stealthy, but you could go loud, and I appreciate that. So I love this game. Can't wait for the second one. Can't wait to see the kamikaze wins in Ghost of Tsushima 2. I absolutely adore this game. I probably will do a replay of it before the second one comes out, after it finally gets announced. I don't know what Sony's holding back for, but here we are. Anyways, so Ghost of Tsushima, number 3. Number 2, Killer Instinct. Now, originally, Killer Instinct was a British-made game, but we were talking about KI3 or KI20... What year did it come out? 2013? KI 2013? Christ, now... Bias aside, yes, I am in the credits for this game. I had some hand in its development. So is there a little bit of bias there? Yeah, maybe. But all the best things about this game had nothing to do with me, which is the design. I love this game. I still think KI has probably the best 2D fighting game system in the world because it is a game that is always about making choices. You are always pressing buttons. You're always playing. If you're getting beat up, you can try to combo break. If you are dishing and you assume someone's going to combo break, you can counter break. And you can bluff the counter break. You are always pressing buttons. The only time you're not pressing buttons is when you get locked out, and that's when you've made a bad decision. So now that's either that just comes from you not paying attention or you getting counter broken. But you have shadow counters. You have all these systems in place offensively and defensively, because the game is all about you want to get a big combo going. It has a big combo, it has the big announcer, but then it also has all these systems in place for the defensive side, so you're not just sitting there just, oh, this guy touched my toe, I guess the match is over, Marvel fans. But yes, KI to me has the absolute best 2D fighting game system mechanics. Now, obviously, it's not perfect, and the game is, no fighting game is truly balanced, but KI truly has one of the best combat systems in a fighting game, in a 2D fighting game for me. And aside from that, it does two other things that I think are very important and that every fighting game still ignores to this day, which is number one, stages, and at least until we got to the last season, which that was definitely a budget thing. They tried to give every single character a stage. I wish more fighting games would do that. I'm upset fighting games still don't do that. I think it's such a shitty thing that we don't get a ton of stages in fighting games. I love them. And the other thing, of course, is the music. Now, musical identity is sort of like hit or miss in fighting games. Like Guilty Gear is always big on its music. Street Fighter is like sometimes it is, sometimes it isn't. Mortal Kombat never cares about its music. And other fighting games, it's kind of like sometimes some of it's great, sometimes it's not. Tekken definitely has its style. It goes for its Tekken style, but even now, you're getting really dumb shit like machines fucking or people banging on PVC pipes and calling it music. So thank God for jukebox modes in other games, I guess. But yeah, like Killer Instinct had great music, and that was the thing, is the original KI was a huge mix of different musical styles from Robin Beanland and Graham Norgate. And that was the incredible thing, is KI1 had a crazy varied soundtrack. And I was super upset when I first heard that they weren't going to get Robin Beanland back for KI3. But just like with Doom, they got Mick Gordon, an Australian, to come in and clean house. And then there were two other composers who did Season 3. But yeah, KI, phenomenal soundtrack. Old games, new game, phenomenal soundtrack in KI3. Absolutely wonderful presentation for what little they had to work with. Every character getting unique stages, an incredible battle system. So this is one of my favorite fighting games. Yes, my name is in the credits, and this is a good old American-made product. Season 1 made out here on the Best Coast. Season 2 and 3 made in Chicago, like the American home of the fighting game. So this was truly American, because we had the Midwest, we had the Best Coast, we had them working together to make one of the best fighting games of all time. Absolutely phenomenal game, Killer Instinct. And that leads to my number one. This one is absolutely my favorite number one game. And in fact, this is one I would definitely argue is the best made American game. That is Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze. This is the best 2D platformer I've ever played. The only 2D platformer that has any aspect that has a leg up on this is the overworld map in Mario World. But other than the overworld map and its secrets in Mario World, Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze, best goddamn 2D platformer I've ever played. I'm probably never playing another better 2D platformer than this game. This is absolutely the best thing to ever come out of Texas. And I've played and replayed this game, and I will replay it again. And yes, this, again, just like the original games, incredible soundtrack. Returns had the Metroid composer filling in, and it was eh. And then for Tropical Freeze, they went back. They got David Wise, technically a British composer, but that's okay. That's okay, because David Wise knocked it way out of the park for this one, coming back to it after 1 and 2. So Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze has everything. It has exploration, it has speed running, it has secrets, it has super hard, optional challenge levels. The main levels aren't too hard. They're okay. They're not... And okay, so to be fair, anyone who's not a 2D platform, I've watched multiple people. I've tried to get many people to play this game, and anyone who's not a platformer, this game is a little on the tougher side for people who aren't familiar with 2D platformers. But trust me, it's so worth it. And then of course, you know, if you have the Switch version, we have funky mode. So but this is the best 2D platformer I've probably ever played. I would cancel Metroid Prime 4 to get another retro Donkey Kong Country. This is one of my favorite games of all time. This is way up there in my top 10. I know my top 10 list is on the channel as well. Tropical Freeze is in there. This is the best 2D platformer game, the best American-made game. And on America's birthday, celebrating with Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze, the greatest game ever made in North America. So, yeah, that is my personal top 10. Again, there are no PC games are not here because, you know, when I made my top 10, I'm like, oh, wow, wait, I don't have Half-Life 2. I don't have Diablo 2. Well, all the games I missed on my list were PC games. And I'm like, all right, this is a console list now. So I'm not discrediting those games. I'm just saying, like, this list was for console exclusive, console-minded games made for North America. Plus, I like Tropical Freeze more than any of those games. So, yeah. This is the best game made in Murica. And I think it's a perfect game to play on its birthday. So, God bless the world. But yeah, if we can get more games like this, America's doing a-okay. So yeah, let me know what you guys think of this list, and yeah, I'll see you on the channel.